The Street Files. A complete mystery short story every Wednesday. File 14. The Ivy Church Mystery. It's exactly noon as Olivia Street's red MG Midget pulls up into the car park of the Crown pub in the village of Ampney Brook. As she was working in Cardiff this week on a case, Olivia took the opportunity to pick up Poppy from her student halls in Bristol on this Sunday and take her for lunch in the Cotswolds. They both step out wearing black jeans and boots, and a burning yellow sun sits on the horizon on this autumn day. "I'm always in the city," says Poppy, "but I love the countryside." "My friend Juliet is joining us. She has a farm down the road and recommended this pub," says Olivia. A green classic Land Rover Defender turns off the road and pulls up next to them. A woman steps out wearing denim dungarees. "It must be 5 years, V," says Juliet, using her nickname for Olivia. She has blonde hair in a ponytail, and her deep green eyes are full of life. "This is Poppy. I can't think why you've never met." "Are you a farmer?" says the teenager. "Lance and I decided to get away from it all when we hit 30. Used to live in Richmond and sold up. Came out here, found a farm. Some old bloke was retiring. We kept the sheep and added pigs. Haven't looked back." They walk inside and are shown to their table. The place is full of wood, rich mahoganies and sepias. They order Sunday roast and talk in the scattered light that slips in through the windows. As they finish their food and are looking at the pudding options on the menu, a girl walks in from the road. She has thick, dark hair and bright blue eyes. Poppy sees her first and thinks that she must be about her age. The girl has been crying. "Is she all right?" says Poppy, nodding upwards in the girl's direction, and Juliet and Olivia look round. "Imogen, what is it?" says Juliet, and the girl walks over. "Mrs. Frost, can you come and look?" "Sit down, girl." Imogen obeys and drops into a chair at their table. "What's happened?" The girl's face is a mass of emotions. Olivia can see fear as well as sadness in her eyes. "There was a man." "Where?" says Juliet. "At the old Ivy Church." "Imogen, my name's Olivia. I'm an old friend of Mrs. Frost's. What was the man doing?" "Just lying there in the grass at the edge of the graveyard. He wasn't moving. His eyes were closed." Olivia turns to Juliet. "How far is the Ivy Church?" "Down the road. 5 minutes' drive." "Have you just come here straight from the church, Imogen?" says Olivia. The girl nods. "Shall we go and have a look?" They pay the bill and get into their cars. Juliet gives Imogen a lift, and she goes first with Olivia and Poppy following. When they see an old church near the road, they all park up and emerge from their vehicles. There's a sign announcing the name of the place as the Church of Ampney St. Mary. "Is this it?" says Poppy. "Why did you call it the Ivy Church?" "There was a village here until the Black Death killed everyone. The place was left to rot and became engulfed in ivy. It's been cleaned up now, but the name is stuck around here." They push inside an old wooden gate. St. Mary's is a solid grey stone place, surrounded by open fields that roll away into the distance. "Where is the man, Imogen?" says Olivia. The girl leads them to the border between the cut grass of the graveyard and the ploughed field beyond. There, beneath the hedgerow, is a man in his 20s with black hair. He is on his back and wearing motorbike leathers. He has no obvious wounds that Olivia can see at first glance. She goes down on her haunches and feels his neck. "He's dead. Do either of you know him?" She flicks her eyes between Juliet and Imogen. Juliet says, "No." "He's just some weirdo, isn't he?" says Imogen. "Why'd you say that?" What's he doing out here, anyway? You're the local girl, says Olivia. Why do you think he was here? No idea. She seems defensive. Tell us what happened. How did you find him? Just walked past and I saw him lying there. You were here on your own? Yeah. Olivia flicks her eyes to Poppy, who gets the message that she should explore that further with Imogen. Do you know the local police, Juliet? Fred Nash, the police constable, has been here for 15 years. He lives in the village. Can you call him? We need to get him out here. Juliet goes off to call the policeman. Imogen, would you show Poppy around the church? There'll be a bit of a wait, I think. You'll both get bored. The girls walk off just as Juliet returns. There's no answer, V. I'll drive down there. He only lives 10 minutes away. The woman walks back out to the car parking. Olivia inspects the body more closely. He is completely flat on his back, as though placed there. It doesn't look like he crawled here after an attack, nor that he fell here to the ground. It's too neat, she thinks. That neatness implies that he probably didn't die here. She's brought some blue plastic gloves from her car, and she pulls them on before looking for wounds. Olivia lifts up the man's hand where it lays next to him on the grass. There's blood under his fingernails. Over the rest of his body, there are no obvious holes in his leathers, but his jacket is unzipped. Olivia pulls one side slightly open, and there are the wounds that she's been looking for. 3 or 4, no, 6 at least, stabs to the stomach. A 1-inch blade, she estimates. There's bruising around the cuts, so the blade was wielded with some force in the attack. There are no other signs of violence on the man's body, but those blows would have been sufficient to kill him, Olivia concludes in her mind. The teenagers walk around the church. You can't go up that way, says Imogen. That doorway's blocked up. They reckon it's because that stone above it shows good and evil fighting. Poppy inspects the cold grey stone lintel and sees a lion and a 2-headed beast in combat. Why were you really out here in this old church? Says Poppy. You lied to my mum. It was obvious. Ben and I come up here. Who's Ben? My boyfriend. You sleeping with him? Only once? Was he here when you found the dead guy? Yeah, he was. She seems relaxed. And where's Ben now? Says Poppy. He went off when I walked to the pub. Haven't you got a mobile? Of course. Why didn't you call someone? Imogen pushes the oak door to the church. As they step inside, Poppy can feel the air is much colder in here. Who would I have called? Your parents? The police? Says Poppy. Imogen smiles. The local copper doesn't like me. Why? Troublemaker, he says. Are you a troublemaker? It's just a bit of fun, that's all. What sort of fun? Clubs in Oxford. PC Nash stopped me on the way back one night. Threatened to tell my parents. Let me off, though. Imogen looks at the murals on the walls. See that one? It's St. George slaying a dragon. She points, and Poppy looks. Outside, Olivia is waiting at the gate for Juliet's return, when a car pulls up on the gravel that has been laid between the road and the church to allow for parking. She's expecting a policeman, but it's a vicar who steps out. He has a mop of unkempt black hair and hazel eyes. Good to see people in the old place, he says, with a cheery demeanour. Fascinating history, if that's your thing. You're the vicar, are you? Says Olivia. Team vicar. We have multiple parishes these days. You don't hold services here, then? Even sung in the summer once a week, otherwise we can't resource it. What's your name, vicar? She says. The Reverend Tripp. Mr. Tripp, my name's Olivia Street. She offers her hand. I am an investigating lawyer. You may be shocked by what I'm about to say, but there's a dead body in the graveyard. More than one, Olivia. He smiles, and she does too. I meant above the ground, over by the hedge. Now he does look concerned. Has Fred been called? The local policeman, yes, my friend went to get him. Can I see the dead man? Says Tripp. And Olivia leads him across the grass. The two of them stand over the corpse. Do you know him, Vicar? Tripp narrows his eyes. I think I've seen him somewhere. In a congregation, maybe. Recently? He shakes his head and pushes his lips out to show that he can't remember. They hear an engine approach, then the noise stops. That'll be the police, I think, she says. You can hear the cars pulling off the road all the way over here. On the far side of the ground, this place is so quiet. I suppose you get used to it. If you don't run services here apart from the summer, I guess there aren't many people about? I'm only here once a week, really, says Tripp. A local parishioner opens up the place at sunrise and closes it at sundown every day. He smiles. Lovely to chat, but I need to check the old place over, if you'll excuse me. Juliet appears across the grass, with a tall and large man in a police uniform. Fred, this is Olivia. She's an old friend and a lawyer. They shake hands. A girl from the village found him, Constable, says Olivia. Imogen something, I don't know her surname. Clark, says Juliet. Imogen and my own daughter are inside the church looking at the relics. P.C. Nash kneels down and feels the man's neck, too. He's dead, says Olivia, behind him. How do you know that, miss? He stands up again. I did what you did, felt for a pulse. He could still have been alive, and we would have called an ambulance if that had been the case. Can I ask, Constable? Do you know this man? Not from round here. I'd better call my inspector at Cirencester, he says. He knows about this sort of thing. He's been stabbed, she says. P.C. Nash is starting to look frustrated. How do you know that, miss? He repeats. I looked. I always have nitrile gloves with me just in case, so as not to leave my DNA all over dead bodies. You need to stay on site, miss. The inspector will want to interview you. I'll need your name and address, if that's okay. Of course, Constable. She dictates her details to him, and he scribbles them down with a very short pencil in his very battered pocket-book. I've got some tape in the car, he says, and walks away, then returns a minute later to cordon off the area around the body. I'm calling Cirencester, he announces. You both stay here. I'm in the car outside near the road to meet my inspector when he arrives. Nash hurries away. What do you think happened, Olivia? Says Juliet. A fight of some sort. He's not from the village, Nash confirmed. He's in biker gear, so presumably he got here on a bike. A shared bike, it would have to be, because there's no bike here. Maybe he argued with a fellow biker and got stabbed? Then the other one drove off on the machine? There are tyre tracks by the gate, did you see? Says Juliet. I didn't. Let's go and have a look. The Reverend Tripp pushes the heavy door open to the church, and he sees Poppy and Imogen inside. Hello, he says, and the girls smile weakly at him. Tripp goes up behind the altar and starts to check various things on the list of things that need to be checked. After a few minutes, he hears the door of the church open and close again. He looks up and he's alone in the place. Imogen leads Poppy to sit in the field next to the graveyard that has long grass and old trees around its periphery. What was it like growing up in the countryside? Says Poppy. Brilliant until 15. Perfect, actually, says Imogen. And what happened after that? You want different things? What did you want? A boyfriend, but not from here. Did you meet Ben in the Oxford clubs? Yeah. Did he turn out to be better than the men from around here, then? Imogen doesn't answer immediately and looks away to the sky. Poppy waits, knowing that vital clues are not always easy for witnesses to discuss. Imogen clears her throat. Not really. He was moody most of the time. In the police car out on the gravel by the road, PC Nash sees a movement behind him in his rearview mirror. His brain starts to plan the words he needs to say to tell those women to stay on site, especially that lawyer. Then he sees it's a vicar, with dark hair, coming through the gate. Nash steps out anyway. Afternoon, vicar, he says. Has the Reverend Tripp moved on to greener pastures? The man is hesitant. He seems to be lost in thought, thinks Nash, probably about his next sermon. The vicar clears his throat. Yes, officer. Our bishop thought it was time to give the Reverend Tripp a new flock to inspire. Bishops, of course, are the only ones who move diagonally on the chessboard. He laughs. There's a second of dead air. Then Nash says, That's not true. The vicar seems more nervous when he hears those words, and he laughs again, but this time there's no force behind it. It is true. Nash looks more intently at the man. Queens move diagonally as well, says Nash. On the chessboard. The vicar smiles disingenuously and turns to his car. Are you all right, vicar? Says Nash. You seem out of sorts. My only concerns each day are for my dear parishioners, officer, he calls across the gravel. A blue Honda stops by the gravel with his indicator on before turning off the road. The dark-haired vicar is suddenly in a hurry. From the Honda steps a fair-haired vicar. Reverend Tripp, says Nash. We were just talking about your new parish. What new parish? Says Tripp. The dark-haired vicar starts his engine. The new vicar just told me. There is no new vicar, Constable. I'm the team vicar here. Then who's he? Says Nash, pointing at the dark-haired vicar as his car starts to move. Nash steps boldly into the car's path, and the vicar is not going fast enough to push Nash out of the way. The policeman walks around to the driver's door and opens it. Sir, if you would. Nash leads the dark-haired vicar to the police car and locks him in the back, then sits in the front and turns to him. Who are you? The man is silent. Come on, it's a simple question. We'll find out anyway. We can look in your wallet at your driving licence. Tom. Mr. Tom. Are you, or are you not, a member of the Church of England's clergy? It's not illegal to pretend to be a vicar. That may be true, sir. But if you use it for fraudulent purposes, it is very much illegal under the Fraud Act 2006. Tom is silent again. What were you doing in the church? Praying. We have ourselves a clever dick, do we? Nash opens his eyes wider. The Criminal Law Act 1967, sir. Wasting police time. Do you know the dead man in the graveyard? Says Nash. Thought you'd kill him, then sneak away under the cover of an innocent-looking dog collar, did you, sir? Nothing to do with me. You'll excuse me for saying so, sir, but that's not the most sophisticatedly constructed defence for a court of law. Tom is looking defeated now. Spit it out, Tom. His voice drops to nearly a whisper. I was nicking stuff from the church. Another example there, sir, of very poor defence for a murder. Don't you think? When Olivia and Juliet reach the gate, Juliet points to the tracks in the mud that she saw earlier. They're motorcycle tyre tracks, says Olivia. She stoops to see the detail. They go off this way. She points across the grass to the edge of the trees. What's down there? A stream, says Juliet. The path from the graveyard to the stream is overgrown with brambles, but the undergrowth has been pushed back and broken. These branches are freshly snapped, says Olivia. They're still green inside. The women walk on, and after 2 minutes they reach the water. Dumped sloppily in the stream is a red Royal Enfield motorbike, lying on its side. I'm going to hazard a guess that this belongs to our dead man. She steps down the bank and stands in the water beside the machine. Maybe there's something in the storage, she says. Do you know about bikes, V? One of Poppy's boyfriends a couple of years ago had a Royal Enfield, and he used to strip it down at the weekends. The seat is buckled away from the frame, and she tugs at one side, where there is room to push her fingers underneath and get a grip. The seat comes off completely, and she can see the small storage underneath. Olivia pulls out the items in the storage. There's not much here, she says to Juliet. Invoices for bike parts, mostly. She unfolds one piece of paper. There's a name and address on this invoice. Oxford. What's the name? Says Juliet. Ben Joyce? I haven't heard of him. Olivia finds nothing more, so they retrace their steps back along the path to the church. PC Nash is walking around the graveyard and looking carefully at the details of every inch of grass. Constable, calls Olivia as they approach. We found a motorbike down in the stream. Someone's pushed it into the water, and there was this document in the seat. She hands Nash the paper that she found. He reads it. I don't know him. This is useful, but you were supposed to stay here on site. The stream is part of the Church of England's land, Fred, says Juliet. We're not rule breakers. She smiles sweetly. Can I ask you something, PC Nash? Says Olivia. When we got back just now, I saw that you had the vicar locked in your car. Did something happen? He's not the vicar. He said he was. I caught him leaving the scene of the crime. He's pretending to be a petty thief, but he's my prime suspect. However, I need to get on and complete my detailed search of the grounds before my boss arrives. We could help you, says Olivia. There's nothing else to do until they get here. Nash reluctantly agrees and they split up, Nash inspecting the south side and the women inspecting the north side. After 15 minutes, nothing has been found. Have you looked inside the place? Says Olivia. I was just going to suggest that, he says. And they all troop inside the tiny church. The real Reverend Tripp is taking stock of hymn books and candles as they come inside, and Olivia introduces herself to the man. Nash tells the vicar that they just need to do a quick search. Someone's been in this cupboard, says Tripp, and he points to one of the old wooden doors hinged against the ancient stone. They gather around and PC Nash opens the door. That bundle wasn't there last time I was here, says the vicar. PC Nash lifts out a parcel wrapped in sacking. He holds it up and slowly folds back the sacking on both sides. In his hand is a knife with a 1-inch blade. That matches the wounds, Constable. The policeman ushers them out of the building, as it's now an extended part of the crime scene. He walks out to the roadside and calls Cirencester to update his inspector about Tom, the knife, and the motorbike, while the women wait in the Defender, with the real Reverend Tripp. When Nash comes off the phone, he walks over to them. They said you can go. I've got all your details, so we'll be in touch. Forensics are going to be another hour at least, so I'll wait for them, then take this fake vicar off to the local nick, and my inspector will meet us there to do the interrogation. It'll be dark in 2 hours, so it'll be a long night. They thank him. The vicar drives off, and Olivia goes off to look for Poppy. She finds the teenagers in the field, and they all head back to the cars. As they pass the police car, Imogen sees Tom, and she is suddenly distraught. Why have you got him locked up in there? She says indignantly. Police business, young lady. Never you mind. He didn't do it. She's getting more angry. She goes up to the window of the police car. Tell them, Tom. Tell him you didn't do it. You know him, miss, do you? Says Nash. He's my boyfriend. She's still indignant. You said your boyfriend was called Ben, says Poppy. Ben, says Olivia, whose motorbike is abandoned in the stream, down in the woods. You told me earlier, says Poppy, that you were out here with Ben, not quite having sex, when you found the body. What did really happen? Let me give you some legal advice, Imogen. You're better off telling the truth, says Olivia. No matter how bad you think the truth is, down the line there are more penalties for lying as part of the legal process. A judge can increase sentencing based on behaviours of people accused of a crime, or people facing a charge of accessory before or after the fact, which means helping commit a crime or helping cover it up afterwards. Imogen's eyes are watery. Did you kill the man in the graveyard? Says Olivia. They all stand around Imogen, and Tom sits in the car on the other side of the glass. The girl flicks her gaze to each one of them in turn. Then she barely nods. What happened? Says Olivia. Imogen looks at the ground and swallows uncomfortably. I met Ben in a club a few weeks back, she begins. I fancied him. We had sex outside in some alleyway. I gave him my number. Then I met Tom 2 weeks ago in the same club. But Ben kept messaging me asking to meet up. He wouldn't take no for an answer. In the end, I agreed. I told him the address of this place. She looks at the church. I told Tom. She smiles at her boyfriend behind the glass. I told him that I'd meet Ben here and tell him where to go. End it, block him on my phone. Ben turned up on his bike. I tried to talk to him, he got all touchy-feely, he wouldn't let go. I didn't know Tom was here too. Watching us from the trees, the guy started pulling at me. Tom ran out, he carries a knife. But Ben was a fighter, he got the knife. So I pretended to say it was fine, I was happy to keep seeing him. He calmed down and put the knife in his back pocket, and I went across to cuddle him. She looks at the eyes watching her. Then I pulled the knife from his pocket and couldn't stop myself until he was lying on the gravel. Imogen smiles at Tom through her tears. We carried him over to the hedge and dumped him. Then we pushed his bike into the stream. We found a knife in the church. Is that the weapon? Says Olivia. I hid it, then walked down to the pub to spin some old story about just finding the body. But you were there, a lawyer. She looks at Olivia. And you started asking questions. We panicked. I messaged Tom. His dad's a vicar. He stole a dog collar and came to get rid of the knife, but he couldn't find it. And by then, PC Nash was out here. Go with the officer, Imogen, says Olivia. Make your statement. I know a defence barrister who can help you put a defence case together, as there are extenuating circumstances in what you've told us. Nash calls for another police car to take Imogen and Tom to the police station. The group says their goodbyes, and Juliet starts up the old Defender before she turns out onto the road and disappears back to the village. Poppy and Olivia are standing next to the MG. Will she be charged with manslaughter, Mum? Says the teenager. That is most likely. She didn't intend to kill Ben when she arrived here, but she did attack him at the end, after he had calmed down. So we'll see. My barrister friend is good. She'll do what she can. Olivia walks around to the driver's seat and fires up the car. I'll drop you at Bristol, Poppy. She pulls off the gravel and turns west on the road. As the car accelerates, Poppy looks back at the tiny stone Norman church, surrounded by the fields and trees of the countryside. The Street Files, a complete mystery short story every Wednesday.